I'm here on the job site with Dale, who's a framing contractor.
Hey, good morning.
Dale traded up to Geico Commercial Auto Insurance for all his business vehicles. We're here where he needs us most.
Yep, they sure are.
We make it easy for him to save on all his insurance needs, all in one place, with coverage that fits his business and bottom line. Oh, I shouldn't have looked down.
It's all right.
We're so far up here.
Look at me. Take a deep breath.
Oh, I'm good. So good.
Get a commercial auto insurance quote today at geico.com and see how much you could save. Get more with Geico.
Americans love scenery. We want to see it all, from one coast to the next, Mount Rushmore down to the Everglades. So hop into a Chevy Malibu and take the scenic route. It's the car you knew America could build. There's a place where people count on friendships they can trace back generations, where they can count on the same stool at the coffee shop waiting for them every morning. This place is called Glen Ellen, and you can find it in every bottle of Glen Ellen wine. This is craft brewed Herman Joseph's, the smoothest, easiest drinking specialty beer in the entire solar system. And I believe you'll find drinkable in the dictionary right after don't order a beer you can't drink. Zoingo! Boingo! The freestyle pogo with more boing, more bounce. Bounce further, bounce higher with Zoingo Boingo. To see what makes Arrowhead Mountain Spring water different from those other waters, you have to go back to the source. And with Arrowhead, that means going back a little farther and longer than most. Between security challenged and security strengthened, there's one important word: how. And it is the how that makes all the difference to our nation and our world. Lockheed Martin. We never forget who we're working for. What makes Kraft Singles so good? 2 out of every 3 kids don't get the recommended amount of calcium. But with Kraft Singles, they get a good source of calcium and the taste they love. Kraft Singles. Magic every single time. Throw boring overboard with a new real meal from Long John Silver's. A meal worthy of a plate, just $4.99. Only at Long John Silver's. We may not all be geniuses, but we can all do something smart. Introducing the Hyundai 199 Sonata Lease. It's a smart deal on a really smart car.
My fingers are no longer nimble. I can't, if I'm pissed off at somebody, I can't give them the finger. Instead, I give them the claw. I'm a worrier. I worry about everything. I worry about dying young. I'll go to hell. A con man got me so confused, I gave him all my banking information. He took one look at my account and put money in. I bought a new bed, and according to the instructions, it can bear no more than 250 pounds. So when I ask women how much they weigh, I'm just practicing safe sex. I saw a beautiful lady, and without thinking, I blurted out, "Oh my God, you're beautiful." And she blurted out, "Oh my God, get out of the ladies' room." I have an inner child, but I don't think it's mine.
Good morning. It's Monday, Moral Monday, September the 15th, and this is The True Conservative. Welcome to all the butchers, bakers, and candlestick makers out there. I'm Ron, your host, and the only true conservative in the United States today. So today, after the Serenity Prayer and the patriotic song of the day, we will have Varney and Company, motivation, meditation, and moral politics. All that and more when I get back. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I should not change, the courage to change the things I should, and the wisdom to know the difference. Amen. Stu Varney.
Everyone, breaking news from all quarters. This is a very active Monday. I'll start with this. China says NVIDIA violated that country's antitrust laws. We don't know what they're going to do about it, but the stock is taking a hit pre-market. It's down just over 1% right now. The hit was bigger earlier in the day. Going the other way, Tesla. Elon Musk has bought $1 billion worth of Tesla stock. This may be tied to Musk's giant pay package. The stock has gone up more than 5%. No, now it's up 8%. That is Tesla this morning. The Fed meeting this week, widely expected to cut rates. A big 50 basis point cut seems to be baked into stock prices, which this Monday morning are largely higher. The Dow up 105 points pre-market. S&P is up 20. The Nasdaq is up 58. Bitcoin firm at 115,000, just dropped to 114.7 right now. The yield on the 10-year Treasury down just above 4% even. The 2-year just above 3.5%, 354. Gold just below its record, $3,686 an ounce as we speak. Politics, the governor of New York, Kathy Hochul, has endorsed Zoran Mamdani for mayor of New York City. Over the weekend, Democrat Senator Chris Van Hollen endorsed him too. The left is rapidly taking control of Democrat politics. On Truth Social, the president says the trade meeting between the U.S. and China has gone very well. That was in all caps, his words. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent confirms there is a framework for a TikTok deal that will make young people happy. Trump is going to be speaking to Xi Jinping on Friday. All of that helping stocks. The new developments in the assassination of Charlie Kirk. His alleged killer had an intimate relationship with his roommate who was transitioning from man to woman. Charlie's widow made a powerful speech. She will carry on his fight. Charlie's social media accounts have gained millions of followers. On the show today, a huge demonstration in London. Over 100,000 people turned out. Charlie was mourned at that rally, and that was in London. President Trump arrives in Britain for a state visit tomorrow. He arrives just as British politics reflect the same issues as here in America: immigration, crime, free speech. The Brits are going all out to make our president happy. And we're going to be there Wednesday and Thursday of this week. That's where the show will be coming from. It is Monday, September the 15th, 2025.
And that was Varney and Company. Back in a minute. Oh, nonprofit news now. Back in a minute. Thank you. Now a little political corner.
I registered to vote when I was 18 years old. I registered as a Democrat. I've been voting Democrat for 31 years. I am now 49. I have been voting Democrat for as long as Charlie Kirk was alive. Now, first and foremost, I want to say to Mr. Kirk's family and to his children, I am so, so sorry. And I got to say personally, I can't do this anymore. I can't do this anymore. I'm out. I'm done. I'm not ever going to be the type of person that comes on and publicly celebrates, certainly, because I think it takes an incredibly sick individual to do something like that. What the hell? But to even just sit back and not say anything, I think that that's complicit. The silence would speak volumes. I would be part of the problem. I have been disillusioned with the Democratic Party for a very, very long time. And when I actually sat down and listened, which I have been for a couple of years now, to the debates from people like Charlie Kirk, Ben Shapiro, and others, it's been making a lot of sense. I am autistic. I can't speak for every autistic person, but I'm a highly logical person. I have feelings, I have empathy, but I decision make and my thought process operates much more on logic than it does emotions and feelings when I'm making decisions and I'm thinking about my position on things. And I have noticed that The Democratic Party seems to be the party of emotion. Control, fear, emotion. And others tend to be the party of logic and thinking, free thinking, opening yourself up to different opinions. You know, in my opinion, the Democratic Party has straight up become a cult. It is a cult. There are things that have been overlooked that are harmful and damaging, particularly concerning people with clear mental health issues, okay? They don't need pronouns. They need Prozac, all right? Sorry.
And that was the Political Corner. Back in a minute. Thank you. Now the Patriotic Short.
Why do enemies fear U.S. soldiers? In Iraq, a captured insurgent said, "We fought the army in Ramadi, and it was a hard fight. Then we fought the Marines, and realized we had been fighting the apprentices. The Marines were the masters." French army officer, "I would rather have 4,000 Americans than a whole 40,000 French division. When the chips are down, I'll take an American over anyone else. They're crazy, but they're the best kind of crazy. When they decide they're going to do something, it gets done." A British Special Forces SAS trooper, "To have the United States at our side was to me the greatest joy. I went to bed and slept the sleep of the saved and thankful." Winston Churchill, "To annihilate the 1st Marine Division, we would have to be prepared to suffer losses 2 or 3 times greater than theirs. These Americans were the most skillful and courageous enemy soldiers I have ever fought." A senior Chinese army commander describing the Battle of the Chosin Reservoir, "I fear all we have done is to awaken a sleeping giant." Japanese Admiral Yamamoto.
Thank you. Now a little bit of motivation.
It's going to feel better when it's over. You know that when you get done doing the hard thing, you know you will feel better when it is done. You also know that if you don't do the hard thing, the thing that you don't want to do, that you don't feel like doing, you know if you don't do it, you're going to feel inferior. You know you're going to feel weak. Those are the 2 outcomes. One will cause you some short-term gratification. You'll get to sleep a little bit more. You won't have to put out during a workout. You don't have to do this tedious task. You'll get some short-term gratification, but the long-term regret will be strong, and it will inflict pain on you. The other outcome is when you do what you're supposed to do. You do what you know you need to do to move forward. And when you do that thing, you know you're going to feel strong, and you're going to feel gratified, and you're going to feel worthy of this life.
Easy choices, hard life. Hard choices, easy life.
And most of you in this room, you can't give up 6 months. You can't give up 8 months. You can't let stuff go for a few weeks. Some of you can't just let girls go. Let it go. Some of you just can't let parties go. Let it go. If you want to dominate in the area, you gotta let everything go but that thing you pursue. You can't chase 2 rabbits and catch both of them.
The shortcut is a lie. The hack doesn't get you there. And if you want to take the easy road, it won't take you to where you want to be. There is no easy way. There is only hard work, late nights, early mornings, practice, rehearsal, repetition, study, sweat, blood, toil, frustration, and discipline. There's only one way. Get up and go.
You need to be the master of your emotions, not let them affect you.
Get control of your feelings. By getting control of your feelings, you gain control of your life. When you do this over and over and over again, you change your brain. You become tougher. You become the one who decides what gets done and the level of success you achieve. Discipline is something you dictate. Motivation won't make you exercise every day. Discipline will. Motivation won't stay up late and finish a project for you. Discipline will. Motivation isn't going to get you out of bed in the morning. Discipline will. remember that the pain right now will absolutely pay off in the future.
Some of you are not successful because you think effort is success. You think because you put in 40 hours that you're supposed to get some because you put in 40. It don't work like that in the school of hard knocks. They don't care how many hours you put. They just want to see the execution. So you feeling in your spirit like, yo, but I did just as much as he did. I studied just as much as he studied. It doesn't matter. You just got to execute.
You got to get a little bit more intense about your life. You got to stop being so casual. There's decisions we make that chase that best version of us every second, every day, because every day alters the direction of the course of our lives.
We are losing control, and it's time to take control. You held up your someday, and here's the crazy part. All you got to do is look in the mirror. All you got to do is deal with yourself, and then we're going to get to a whole other level. At some point, you got to tell the flesh who's in control. I'm in control. You're not in control. I know you don't want to wake up. You don't have an option. Get up. There's a certain lifestyle we want. You need to discipline yourself. You need to learn to tell you no. You need to learn to tell you stop. You need to learn to tell you quit. Every single day, if you do what you say you're going to do, you're going to get what you dream to get. Some days you wake up, you in the mood. Some days you're not in the mood. A calendar does not care if it's your birthday, if it's a holiday, if you're not feeling good. A calendar does not care. A schedule does not care. So what happens is when you're consistent and you do something every day, you do it over and over and over again, it becomes a habit. More stuff comes to you when you execute, son. Execution, baby. We will do it by listing our priorities. We will do it by shutting everything else out. We will do it by saying no to everything that does not apply to our priority. We will do it by getting focused, laser focused. This will be the year that you stop half doing stuff. You stop half doing sports, half doing school, half writing that book. This will be the year of execution. And we'll do it one day at a time. And you're going to get control. And when you get control of that one area, you're going to blow up in every area. And then someday going to be your day. If you work for it, if you're willing to put in that sweat, that blood, and those tears, I'm telling you, you can have what you want, be what you want, do what you want. And there ain't nothing you can't have if you're willing to work for it. If you're willing to stick in there, if you're willing to stay, if you're willing to fight, it ain't nothing you can't have.
Discipline your body, free your mind, get up early and go. Get after it, and you will become the person you want to be.
Rewards come after you work, not before. The only place where success comes before work is in the dictionary.
Thank you. Now a little bit of meditation.
Dr. Joe Dispenza reminds us, the generous present moment is the only place where true change can happen, because it is where the unknown exists. Free yourself from the familiar past and the predictable future. Welcome to this 5-minute generous present moment meditation. Find a comfortable position, either sitting or lying down. Gently close your miraculous eyes. Take a deep breath in and slowly exhale. Again, inhale deeply and let it go. Allow your body to soften. Let your shoulders drop, your jaw relax, your heart open. Feel yourself arriving fully, here, now. Release the weight of the past. Release the pull of the future. There is only this moment, the generous present moment. Imagine yourself as no one, no thing, no place, and no time. Pure awareness. Infinite possibilities. The unknown. Breathe into this eternal now. And let yourself simply be. Present. Unknown. Now. Timeless. No one. Nothing. Now. Generous. Present moment. Being. Gently bring awareness back to your breath. Feel the air entering and leaving your body. Notice the sensation of your chest rising and falling. Bring your awareness to your heart. Feel gratitude for this moment, for being present. Now slowly bring awareness to your surroundings. Wiggle your fingers and toes. Feel the surface beneath you. Take one more deep breath in and exhale fully. When you are ready, softly open your eyes. Carry the gift of the generous present moment with you into the rest of your day. Thank you for being here.
And that was a little bit of meditation. Back in a minute. Thank you. And now, Dr. Berg.
There's one really important nutrient involved with hypothyroidism that you need to know about. Now, this also relates to a hyperthyroidism too. So if you have any problems with your thyroid, this video is going to be very, very important. Now, the first thing to know is that 90% of all hypothyroid problems is an autoimmune disease called Hashimoto's. In most cases of hyperthyroidism, it's also an autoimmune condition. What is an autoimmune condition? It's a situation where you have cells made by your own body. Okay, there are very specific types of antibodies against the body, little cells, that actually attack your thyroid. So you have these cells that are programmed to think that your thyroid is like a pathogen. So these antibodies attack your thyroid and prevent it from functioning. And they create a constant inflammatory condition as well. And 90% of all hypothyroid cases are autoimmune. Now, let's talk about this one nutrient that's really important. I mean, you probably thought it would be iodine. It's not. Iodine is very, very important because without iodine, you can't make thyroid hormones. But selenium is really important, and you're going to understand why in a minute. Because most of the selenium in your body is mostly concentrated in your thyroid, if you go by the weight of that tissue. And if you have a hypothyroid condition, chances are you're probably deficient in selenium. It's very, very common to have a deficiency. And when you get diagnosed with this autoimmune disease, okay, the three main antibodies that they find a problem with involves one that's called thyroid peroxidase. So these antibodies to thyroid peroxidase really inhibits your ability to make thyroid hormones, because one of the functions of thyroid peroxidase is the production, the synthesis of thyroid hormones. And so you can just imagine by blocking that, you're not going to make enough thyroid hormones, thus having a lowered amount of thyroid hormones. That's called hypothyroidism. And then there's another one, okay, that involves the receptor for thyroid stimulating hormone. That's that hormone from the pituitary that's sent down to the blood that connects to the thyroid and tells the thyroid to make thyroid hormones. And that receptor is called thyroglobulin receptor. So if you have antibodies against that receptor, you're not able to receive the message that tells the thyroid to make thyroid hormones. So you can imagine what kind of problems you're going to have if you have antibodies to these three parts. But the good news is that selenium can help significantly reduce these antibodies. And it's something natural that you can take, and it's in your food, but you can take it in small amounts to help you. Also, selenium improves the thyroid as a whole, okay? So that's another benefit. Selenium also helps you convert T4 to T3. T3 is the active form. T4 is not. So T4 really doesn't do much in your body unless it's converted with the help of selenium. I mean, think about this. Let's say, for example, you don't have enough selenium and you're taking Synthroid, for example, which is T4, synthetic T4. And your problem is you can't convert it to the active form. You're not going to see much change. You might have normal T4 in your blood, but what about the T3? You really need to look at that to make sure that is insufficient amounts. And so the point is, like, where's the real problem? Is it in the conversion? Is it in the production? Selenium has also been known to decrease myxedema, which is the big problem for hypothyroid situations. It looks like fat, but it's not fat. It's like the puffiness that is throughout the body that makes you look fat, but it's not an actual fat. Now, selenium also decreases inflammation. Why? Because it's involved in making glutathione, one of the most powerful antioxidants in the body. And this is why selenium is so important with your liver as well. And that's a whole different topic, but selenium can help prevent a fatty liver. It can help prevent inflammation in the liver. It can help prevent fibrosis in your liver. It can decrease your liver enzymes. It can even decrease the risk of liver cancer. Now, selenium is also high in certain types of fish. And so if you're concerned about getting mercury from certain fish, fish also has selenium, which makes this protein that helps get rid of mercury and cadmium. Now, mercury has been linked to autoimmune conditions of your thyroid, and cadmium by itself directly inhibits the production of thyroid hormones. So here's yet another reason why selenium is so important for these conditions. Selenium even decreased the risk of getting an autoimmune condition, because apparently when you're low in selenium, there's a higher level of initiation of autoimmune problems. It's kind of like the match that triggers the fire. And also as a byproduct of thyroid metabolism, you have this hydrogen peroxide. So selenium helps you make glutathione that helps you deal with this hydrogen peroxide, which can create a toxicity in your thyroid. Also, when you get Graves' disease, which is a hyperthyroid problem, a lot of times you get these bulging eyes. Well, selenium helps reduce that symptom too. Now, where do you get selenium? Well, it's in meat, it's in fish, it's in eggs, it's in dairy, cruciferous vegetables like cabbage and broccoli. It's in nuts, it's in onions, it's in garlic, and it's definitely in organ meats. Selenium can also help decrease the risk of getting those thyroid nodules, and it can even help prevent the enlargement of your thyroid. And your thyroid has other mechanisms of accumulating selenium, helping recycling it, and making sure that you're not ending up in a low selenium situation. I hope you now know the importance of selenium as it relates to the thyroid. As far as doses go of selenium, of course, I would always recommend eating foods high in selenium, but I would recommend 200 micrograms of selenium each day in a nice base of other trace minerals, just to make sure you're not, creating an imbalance. And if it is true that you have these antibodies, you have this autoimmune condition, whether it's Graves or Hashimoto's, I also recommend another product. I don't sell it. I'm not affiliated with the company that does, but it's called Thytrophin PMG. It's from a product developed by Standard Process. Okay, so you can look that up. You would take one before bed, and that works a little bit differently, but I think the combination of both of these would be very, very important in helping you recover. And for more information about that, I included that in this video right here. You should check it out.
And that was Dr. Berg. Back in a minute. Thank you. And now, moral politics.
Part 5. Summing up. Chapter 17. Varieties of liberals and conservatives. Liberalism and conservatism are anything but monolithic. Both provide rich moral and political worldviews, rich enough to permit a wide range of variation, an almost dizzying complexity that if looked at from a distance might just seem like a big soup. But when we look closely, we see a great deal of systematic variation. The kind of complex variation we find is just what anyone who studies human categorization would expect. Most categories are similarly complex. In my book on categorization, Women, Fire, and Dangerous Things, A2, Lakoff, 1987, I surveyed the evidence showing that one of the main sources of such complexity is radial category structure. A radial category has a central model, which gives rise to systematic variations that radiate out from the center, like the spokes of a wheel. The example I gave in Chapter 1 of this book was the category Mother, where the central category was defined in terms of a cluster of models: birth, genetic inheritance, nurturance, and marriage. This gives rise to many variations within the category of mothers: birth mothers, single mothers, unwed mothers, working mothers, stepmothers, foster mothers, genetic mothers, surrogate mothers. All variants based on the classic central case: mom, who gave birth to you, gave you half your genes, raised you, and is married to dad. This doesn't make the classic mom a better mother or more of a mother. All it means is that good old mom is a prototype, a central case, and that the variants are defined with reference to her. Most of our categories are complex in this way, containing a great many variations on a central case. The categories conservative and liberal, one would expect, should be no different, and it appears that they do show the same kind of radial structure that other categories show. Throughout most of this book, I have been concerned to describe the central models of liberals and conservatives. But since non-central cases vary from the central cases, most readers who are either liberal or conservative should have found places in the discussion above that did not apply to them and to many of their friends. I discussed that in advance in Chapter 9 and gave a promissory note that we would look at the parameters of variations later. The time has come to pay off that promissory note. We saw in chapters 5 and 6 that the strict father and nurturant parent models were central members of radial categories, and that there were 4 parameters for the variations on the central members. 1. Pragmatic idealistic. 2. Linear scales. 3. Moral focus. And 4. Clause variation in the moral order metaphor. I have argued over the past 7 chapters that the nation as family metaphor, when applied to the central model in the strict father and nurturant parent moral systems, yields central forms of conservatism and liberalism. I will now argue that the same parameters of variation applied to the central models systematically characterize varieties of conservatives and liberals. Before we move on to the details, it is important to consider the role of the study of variations within the overall theory presented in this book. If we can make sense of a variety of types of liberals and conservatives, of the views that they hold and the reasoning they use, then this analysis of variations lends greater support to the analysis of the central models. The reason is this: variation data are extraordinarily complex. The theory of radial categories claims that variations should be systematic in a certain way, determined by the application of parameters of variation to the central model. But the account of variations only makes sense given the central models. Thus, support for an account of existing variations is also support for the existence of the central models on which the variations are based. Let us now turn to the details. Parameters of variation. Let us begin with the parameters of variation described in chapters 5 and 6. 1. Linear scales. 2. The pragmatic idealistic dimension. 3. Moral focus. 4. Clauses within the moral order. Strict father model only. Since the political models arise from the family-based models through the nation as family metaphor, we should expect to find the same parameters of variations in the political models, and we do. Let us begin with the pragmatic idealistic dimension. Pragmatic variations. As we saw in chapters 5 and 6, pragmatic variations on the idealistic central models arise in the following way. In both central models, the pursuit of self-interest serves as a means to an idealistic end. The end of self-reliance in the strict father model, and the end of nurturance in the nurturant parent model. The pragmatic variations on these models reverse means and ends, making the pursuit of self-interest an end in itself, and making either nurturance or self-discipline and self-reliance into 2 very different means toward that end. Through the nation as family metaphor, the pragmatic variations on the family models are projected onto politics. What results are pragmatic versions of conservatism and liberalism. Pragmatic conservatism is less idealistic than central conservatism. The goal is to get ahead, to serve your self-interest. The idealistic parts of conservatism are seen as effective means to achieve that goal. If you want to get ahead, you'd better be self-disciplined and self-reliant. You'd better stick to the straight and narrow so that nobody gets upset with you. You'd better obey legitimate authority, or you could get hurt. A homelier way of seeing the difference is to ask which is the dog and which is the tail. In central conservatism, the idealistic dog wags the self-interested tail. In pragmatic conservatism, the self-interested dog wags the idealistic tail. Pragmatic conservatives are more likely to compromise on the principles of strict father morality for the sake of self-interest. Central or idealistic conservatives are more likely to stick to their principles even when it goes against their self-interest. Of course, since self-reliance is one of those principles, they can't go against self-interest too much. As should be obvious, the pragmatic idealistic distinction is not absolute but a matter of degree, since it can vary from time to time and from issue to issue. You can also choose issues that are beyond compromise, issues where it would take a lot of compromise, and issues where you are willing to compromise. A great many variations on conservatism result from a decision as to where to be idealistic and where to be pragmatic. Liberalism has a similar idealistic pragmatic dimension. In central or idealistic liberalism, the pursuit of self-interest, say, for money and power, is a means toward the end of nurturant morality, to be better able to help others and promote fairness and nurturance in society. In pragmatic liberalism, the end is to allow people to best pursue their self-interest, and the means is nurturance, empathy, being in a nurturant environment, being self-nurturant, being basically happy, being treated fairly and treating others fairly. There are two cases here. First, someone can best seek self-interest as an end if he is an object of nurturance, if people empathize with him, help him when he needs help, and help him fulfill his potential, if he is allowed to be basically happy, and if he is treated fairly. Second, someone can best seek his own self-interest if he empathizes with others, helps others, takes care of himself, is basically happy, and treats others fairly. The idea is that being both an object and agent of nurturance helps you pursue your self-interest as an end in itself. Thus, pragmatic liberals see social programs as a way to help others pursue their self-interest, while idealistic liberals see social programs as a commitment to providing basic human needs, which is an end in itself. To pragmatic liberals, social programs are investments. To idealistic liberals, they are a matter of civic duty. Again, it is a case of whether the self-interested dog wags the idealistic tail, pragmatic liberal, or whether the idealistic dog wags the pragmatic tail, idealistic liberal. As in the case of pragmatic conservatives, pragmatic liberals are more willing than idealistic liberals to compromise on their principles if it serves either their self-interest or the self-interest of others. And as in the case of conservatives, liberals can't compromise too much or people will stop helping them, which would hurt their self-interest. Thus, in both cases, there is a self-regulating mechanism that keeps pragmatic liberals and conservatives from losing touch with their respective moral systems. But the term moderate gives the false impression that there is a linear political continuum, with people distributed along it. The continuum metaphor hides the major role played by moral systems and the fact that pragmatic politicians in America are usually pragmatic versions of either liberals or conservatives. Not surprisingly, both pragmatic liberals and conservatives are commonly criticized by their more idealistic colleagues for betraying the moral principles of their respective ideologies, for waffling on issues, or for watching which way the wind is blowing. Linear scales. In Chapter 5, we saw that the abusive parent model is an extreme version of the strict father model, in which punishment is very severe. The difference is one of linear scale, and the difference of degree results in a difference of type. We saw the same in the previous chapter in the analysis of conservative vigilantism, which differs from central conservatism by taking extreme positions along three linear scales. 1. The degree of punishment in the strict father-family model. 2. The degree of resentment and anger at the meddling parent in the strict father-family model. And 3. The degree to which violence is sanctioned. In Chapter 6, we saw that virtually every aspect of the nurturant parent model is subject to linear scale variation. Many of those family model variations correspond to variations on liberalism. Take, for example, an overprotective parent who puts too much energy into protecting children when no protection is needed. Conservatives see excessive government regulation as a form of overprotectiveness, or take a parent who puts excessive energy and other resources into nurturance, so much so that he doesn't take proper care of himself. This corresponds to the conservative criticism that liberals spend so much money taking care of people that they will bankrupt the treasury. In this way, family model excesses are projected onto what are seen by conservatives as political excesses. Moral focus. Thus far, we have seen two kinds of variations within the liberal and conservative categories. 1. Pragmatic idealist variations, and 2. Linear scale variations. A third kind of variation is one of moral focus. Let us begin with liberals. It is hardly uncommon for blacks, whether ordinary citizens or politicians, to focus on race, or for women to focus on gender issues, or for members of ethnic minorities to focus on ethnic issues, or for gays to focus on gay rights issues. These kinds of focus constitute a politics of identity. Other kinds of moral focus are issues like the environment, or poverty, or labor relations, or education, or healthcare. What exactly is moral focus? It is giving moral priority to one particular domain of interest over others. The result is that one domain is seen as having primary moral significance over other domains. Thus, people can be liberals with the same family model, the same moral system, and the same degree of idealism versus pragmatism, and yet, as political beings, they may live in different universes. If the most important thing to you is race, you may have little interest in environmental issues, except perhaps as they apply to race. The views of a liberal on issues may vary greatly depending on his focus. For example, consider two liberals, one with a moral focus on civil liberties, and the other with a moral focus on violence against women. The first will probably support keeping pornography legal, while the second may want to ban it. Or consider two liberals, one with a moral focus on race, and the other with a moral focus on environmentalism. The liberal focused on race may be against any environmental regulations that would cost black jobs. Black people alive now may be more important to him than owls or old-growth forests. Moral focus is very different from self-interest, with which it is often confused. A white person may have the rights of non-whites as a moral focus, as many whites did during the civil rights movement. They didn't do it out of self-interest. Some blacks at the time may have been for civil rights out of self-interest, but I suspect that, for most blacks, the issue of race was primarily a matter of moral focus, the lens through which they viewed the world and the domain in which their moral system was of most immediate relevance for them. Environmentalists rarely, if ever, have the environment as a moral focus merely out of self-interest. Instead, they find the environment to be the locus of major moral relevance in their lives. Individual versus social focus. In the nurturant parent model of the family, children have the right to have their basic needs met and the right to fair treatment by their parents. Children also acquire family responsibilities as they grow up. The nation as family metaphor translates these aspects of family life into aspects of political life, the individual rights and social responsibilities of citizens. Either can receive a moral focus. Not surprisingly, there is a version of liberalism with a moral focus on individual rights in the domains of politics and economics. It sees government as providing and protecting such rights. Let us call it rights-based liberalism. See references, C3, Rawls, 1971. Correspondingly, there is a form of liberalism with an opposed moral focus, a focus on social responsibility. Let us call it communitarian liberalism. See references, C4, Etzioni, 1988, 1995. Each of these, of course, has many versions. Moral defocusing. Internal and external orientation. Just as one can focus on one aspect of a model, giving it highest priority, so one can defocus on an aspect of a model, taking priority away. The differences between focusing and defocusing on an aspect of a model can be striking. Consider, for example, what I will call the internal aspects of nurturant parent morality, self-nurturance, self-development, and moral happiness. There are liberals who have made one or more of these internal aspects their moral focus. The human potential movement, for example, is concerned with just these aspects of life, which are seen at least as a moral concern, and often as a political concern. This includes the exploration of alternative forms of religion, various forms of Judeo-Christian renewal in the direction of nurturant parent rather than strict father biblical interpretations, as well as exploration of Eastern religions and forms of nature worship. The politics of religion is very much an issue in many of these groups. They realize that spiritual life is intimately tied to moral life, which is intimately tied to political life. A moral focus on self-nurturance and moral happiness has produced a moral and political movement centered on healthy and good-tasting food. Organic produce, organic farmers' collectives, and vineyards are supported by networks of chefs and restaurants who see themselves as involved in a politics of nurturance. From this perspective, cooking healthy, good-tasting, and preferably organic food is part of a politics that overlaps with environmentalism. The development of farmers' markets is part of this. Fresh produce is best grown locally and brought to market every day or two. If you want fresh fish, then local streams and coastal waters will have to be kept clean, and communities of fishermen will have to be protected. All of these are political issues, and they are set within an entrepreneurial capitalist framework, developing tastes and markets and means of making such enterprises profitable, as well as socially useful. A moral focus on all these internal aspects of nurturance leads to a morality and politics of art and education. Bringing art, crafts, design, and all sorts of aesthetic considerations into everyday life is a contribution to self-nurturance, self-development, and moral happiness, and is thus a contribution to the idea of a nurturant society. The same is true of an education in which art, health, and the study of many cultural and spiritual traditions have central roles. These internal aspects of nurturant parent morality can be defocused as well. And there are a great many liberals for whom the internal aspects of nurturance are absent from both their morality and their politics. Such liberals are externally oriented towards social issues alone. Externally oriented liberals tend to be more ascetic than internally oriented liberals. They tend to focus more on economics, race, class, and gender. Some have no internal focus at all, and have no understanding of internally oriented liberals. Indeed, they may misinterpret internally oriented liberals in the same way that conservatives do, as narcissistic, self-indulgent, and hedonistic. Many liberals have a balance of internal and external aspects, with no particular focus on either. But there are some who are either entirely internally oriented or externally oriented, and they may have a hard time talking to one another. Moral focus in conservatism. Conservatives, too, have various kinds of moral focus. James Dobson's focus on the family group, not surprisingly, has the family as its moral focus. The pro-life movement has abortion as its moral focus. Other common forms of conservative moral focus are violent crime, opposition to affirmative action, moral education, illegal immigration, welfare, the right to bear arms, and so on.
And that was the first part of Chapter 17 of Moral Politics, How Liberals and Conservatives Think, by Dr. George Lakoff. Back in a minute. Thank you. This is Ron, your host, the only true conservative in the United States today, bidding adios to all the butchers, bakers, and candlestick makers out there, and reminding you that socialism is antisocial.